Well, you kind of fall into several. When he was, when he was in the military, when he was Secretary of National Defense, and eventually when he was president, and up to this day.
Well, the first time I set eyes on the person, he was steering his parachute to land
Wow.
in front of a grandstand in Fort Magsaysay. That was the first time I saw him.
Special Forces.
Yes. And because I was not yet a Special Forces qualified or airborne qualified, I was, I was impressed by General Ramos. Not knowing that he was then a graduate, or he was a graduate of West Point. And so he became my idol in a way.
Ah, talaga.
So the next time I knew, I was taking the examination to enter the Airborne Special Forces. You know, the Airborne Special Forces then was a unit that was considered restrictive, meaning it was a highly confidential unit.
Okay.
Because at that time, they were preparing to go to Laos. The armed forces then was preparing to go to Laos.
Laos.
Yes.
Deployment in Laos. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But that did not materialize because it was not approved by then the President of the Philippines, President Macapagal.
Yeah.
So I entered, I took the examination, then I had the opportunity to see him almost every day and to work under his leadership.
He was the commander, no?
He was
Aside from
the
being
commanding.
founder.
He was the commander and founder of the first Special Forces of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And I was able to join. So I experienced being a junior officer under his command. So it was a wonderful experience. That's where I learned most of the things that I know that carried me over until I retired.
So you already said that he was a role model. I mean, what attracted you to him? I mean, what were the specific? Can you single out a few traits that he had that made him a role model for you?
Well, he was a different breed. He was a class of his own.
Oh.
In a way, I never saw him. I never saw him with other officers when they are joking, or he was just prim and proper all the time.
Ay, serious palagi.
Serious. He was very serious. There was even a time when he was regarded as a demigod in the Special Forces.
Talaga.
Because when he sits down in the breakfast table, that means to say that if you come after him, you're late. So you cannot anymore take your breakfast. You have to go to your next duty. This is how it was with him.
Wow.
He was not a strict na you will not like him. He was a strict, but you would like to be under him. I received also several calling down or
From him.
from him, but it did not really affect me. As a matter of fact, it motivated me to work harder. And I joined the Special Forces. I stayed with them for quite a long time. And then when they volunteered, or when he volunteered to go to Vietnam,
Yeah. PHILCAG.
practically almost 75% of the unit went with him.
Talaga.
That's how it was.
He had quite a reputation, I mean, men would follow him. His men would follow him. as you're saying so.
Yeah, because he was always showing good examples. When he said, wear this uniform, you have to wear your uniform, you have to wear it completely. Because I never saw him wearing incomplete uniform, or unshined boots, or unshined tarnished
Buckles.
buckles.
Ano, never shabby. Always smart.
He was always, just like I said, he was always prim and proper. And if you are an officer, a young officer, you would look up to him as a role model, really. That's how it should be.
But he was also quite a workhorse, sir. If I
Yes.
remember correctly, morning jogs. He was very much into
Yes.
physical training, and I suppose he expected the men under his command to be of
same.
the same material.
Yes. I remember because there was a time when there were not so many vehicles then.
Okay.
But there was only one or two vehicles that was being used. And he would use the command jeep.
Okay.
And, General Ramos, when he goes to Manila, he would ask who is scheduled to go on leave today or on furlough today. Because he said, you can ride with me to Manila.
Oh, nga naman.
And then you can also ride back. And I had a chance to go to Manila with him maybe 2 or 3 times. And when you pick him up at about 4:30 in the morning in his residence,
That early.
then you start up to Fort Magsaysay. By the time you reach Fort Magsaysay, it's about maybe 6 o'clock.
In the evening.
Yeah. From the gate, that is also the time when the whole command of the Special Forces are running out, going around the camp. And he would already be at the gate, removes his shirt, and then join the group in running.
Wow.
And that is done every morning. We ran every morning when we were in Fort Magsaysay. I don't know if you are familiar with Fort Magsaysay.
Yes, I am, sir.
From the south gate to the north gate, I think that's about almost 4 kilometers,
Yeah,
or maybe more.
a bit. Yeah.
You run from the front south gate to the north gate, and then back, then back to Special Forces. And initially, we were not able to do that, but later on, we were able to cope up with him. And whenever we jump from the aircraft, you feel high morale when you see your commanding officer jumping also. So,
Was he always the first one out, or?
yeah, he normally does that. Or if he is the jump master,
Yeah.
he normally asks the members of the jump group
Yeah.
to jump ahead. Then he would follow. And normally a jump stick, they call it stick. A jump stick, there are about 12 jumpers. Then he would jump the last.
Wow. Leader talaga, no? What about the work ethic? I mean, so he's very physical. What about tactics, training, studies?
As a person, he was simply the best, I know. I worked under him. When we went to Vietnam, I was the least ranking officer,
What if you were the most junior? Or?
most junior.
Okay.
And he was the most senior. And he was a field grade officer, he was a major. So in our system, they developed a security body system.
Okay.
So the most senior bodies with the least, and that happens to be me.
You were buddies.
We were buddies in Fort Mag. And as a buddy, whenever he goes out during the night, let's say to answer a call of nature, I would go with him with my flak jacket, steel helmet, and M16 to make sure that he is protected.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the body system.
That's the body system. But it's a one-way system. Because when I'm the one who would like to go, I cannot get him to go with me. And
because he was a
I
Civic.
always go to Aide Ermita, Secretary Ermita, he was with us. Then I would ask him, sir, you cover me. Where is your body? Who can ask about? The good thing about it is he never asked me or anybody under him to clean his shoes or to clean his buckle. Never. Unlike other officers, they would say, oh, Mitch, shine my shoes.
Take charge.
But in the case of General Ramos, no.
Talaga. What? He would do it himself?
He would do it himself.
Oh, okay.
And even getting water for to wash his face in the morning, he did that himself. All I needed to do was to make sure that the steel helmet, we don't have basins. We use the steel helmet as basins.
It was a multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. You said that he would call you out once in a while. Once in a while ba? Or did he have that often? I mean, temper flares or...
There was a time that I was preparing to go because we are going to jump at night.
Okay.
So in the afternoon, I prepared myself. Before we used to have your rifle, infantry badge,
Yeah.
and then your rank.
Yes, on the collars, yes.
Now, as per SOP, you're supposed to remove all of that because it might hurt you if the wind strikes your collar and it goes to your face.
Yeah.
So it was an SOP. What I did was I removed my cross rifle and put it in my bush hat. My bush hat. Because, the American Air Cavalry or the American Cavalry, they have their hat and then their cross rifle. I used that. And then I happened to meet him at the stairs. Yes. Then that's the time when he called me down. He said, where did you get that idea? You better remove that. So I told him, I'm sorry, sir. There were several times when
Stricto siya, no?
he would call the attention of the officers when they are not in proper uniform, especially in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we were supposed to complete with steel helmet, flak jacket, and then combat boots. Because the enemy could attack any time.
Yeah.
And so we are required to be in that uniform. So when he meets somebody not in that uniform, he would call his attention.
Yeah, because they were at risk, di ba? From
When he
getting hurt.
when he calls the attention of anybody, they don't mind it because that's the rule. He does not bowl you out because for the sake of bowling you out, He will bowl you out because you did something wrong.
But from what I understand from the other interview is when he does call you out, it's actually a badge already na because you're in his radar. I mean, otherwise, if he didn't care for you, then
Yeah,
he
that's
wouldn't
true.
know, no?
There is a saying in the military that if your commander does not even bother to talk to you or he doesn't care about you, but if he calls you attention, especially when you are in the wrong, then that is always taken as a advice, and that maybe he cares for you or maybe he wants you to improve. So that's how it is taken in.
So that was the late 60s, But and then you became his aide. Is that right? You were
Just
you
fresh graduate from PMA.
you became his
I
his
joined
aide.
them 1 year and a half after graduation.
What
And
was it?
most of the guys with me were young also, like uh, Lieutenant Filologo Pante, if you remember him. He became a deputy NEDA director. And then there is Renato Valencia, who became the head of
SSS.
SSS, and several others. So we were young. They were also relatively young because he was the first time I saw him, he was only a captain. He was a captain, and I understand that he was a captain for almost 8 years because of the slow promotion, because of the number of those who were integrated after the war.
Yeah, right.
Like, for instance, class 40, 43, 44, 45 in PMA were still in the service.
Oh,
And because of the system before, where the promotion is just like a conveyor, if you're not yet about to go, you cannot be promoted.
yeah, you kind
So
of
that's
stay
how the
there.
promotion. There's one thing that I remember that he did so much for the AFP. Before, when you graduate from PMA and you arrive at a particular unit, all second lieutenant, because we are carried the rank of lieutenant, second lieutenant,
Yes, when you
all
graduate.
second lieutenants in the army or in the unit, where you are, even if they have been there for 3 years, 4 years as second lieutenant, automatically you outrank them. And it was advantageous to us, but it was not advantageous to the entire organization because there are more reserve officers than regular officers.
Regular.
So when General Ramos at the time, what he did was he changed that system. He came up with a policy that promotion should be based on the time and grade type. If you were promoted, for instance, January 2018, and you are a reserve officer, if a PMA graduate from PMA in March, then the reserve officer will now outrank the PMA graduate,
Because of
unlike
seniority.
before, because of the time and grade. Time and grade and the date of your promotion or appointment.
So
That is
nirecognize
one
din
thing
yun.
that General Ramos was able to do. That I remember,
Okay.
which was maybe a step towards professionalizing the entire armed forces.
Which was really his mark. He was very professional.
Yeah,
Decided
very
he was
much.
always very prim and proper.
He was always working. Until now, he's still working.
Talaga, tell me about the work ethic. What do you remember?
I
of
never
the
saw
work?
him, as I said, I never saw him out of his office before the flag is brought down. Even after the flag is brought down, he's still in the office. But ordinarily, officers, when the flag goes down, meaning to say the flag is not there anymore, so it's now time for you to relax. But in the case of General Ramos, he would still be in the office until he finishes what he's doing.
Talaga. So workaholic?
Yeah, you can say workaholic, or he just like to work. But after work, there are also times when I had the chance to click glasses with him in Vietnam.
Yeah.
But even in Fort Magsaysay, when he was, I believe that he had a continuous supply of Chinese wine.
Wow.
Pagkatapos ng... Because what he used to do is, when he is there in Fort Magsaysay, we follow the regiment. No? After eating dinner, he would call everybody for a troop information and education
Wow.
hour. That's automatic. And after the troop information and education hour, we will go up to our rooms to relax. Then he would ask us to lie up in front of his room because he would give us 1 jigger of Chinese wine for us to have a good sleep.
Toast moon.
And if he bowls you out during the day and he offers you a drink during the night, then that erases everything.
Absolved na.
Oh,
Okay. Now in the 70s, he was eventually called on to head the Constabulary, right?
yes.
And were you in the Constabulary also?
I was with the Constabulary, but I was not assigned in the Constabulary unit. I was with the Civil Relations Service
As a
then,
CRS.
if you remember.
Okay, okay.
But I had the chance to work under him because when martial law was declared,
Yeah, yeah.
they organized the so-called Command for the Administration of Detainees.
Okay.
And because of the nature of our work then, the chief of the Civil Relations Service was assigned as the chief of the Rehabilitation Directorial for Rehabilitation of Detainees.
Okay.
And considering that I was with the unit, I was appointed as the secretariat of that command. So I had to go. I used to go to his office to get some guidance, or when he issues some guidance for rehabilitation, he would call the chief, and the chief normally would bring me with him. And so I had continuously worked with him during that period.
And that time was, well, it was relatively, the information about that time came out much later. You know? I mean, maybe because also of the way martial law,
Yeah.
the way information was managed during martial law. But towards the 80s, though, that's when protests and a more noisy opposition to martial law came out, and well, some information about abuses and some atrocities were already coming out. I mean, how was FBR taking to those allegations and to those
He never
observations?
allowed an allegation about abuses pass without being investigated. He always saw to it that any report would be investigated. And any allegation from the left would somehow be validated. I had the chance to, even if I was with the Civil Relations Service in Camp Aguinaldo, and he is the chief of the Philippine Constabulary,
Across.
there was a time when I used to run errands for him, going to Region 2 in Isabela, Nueva Vizcaya,
Yeah.
to deliver some assistance to those who are those who become victims of the CPP-NPA. And so, because of our work, I would go and give assistance to them. And General Ramos would be the one to give instructions to whom to give it, to make sure that the assistance would reach the right people.
Oh, okay. 1983, Ninoy was assassinated. and then at about the same time you get word of a underground organization in the AFP calling for its reform. So I guess that was RAM, Reform the Armed Forces Movement. Where was FBR on that? I mean, did you have an idea of if FBR was in on what RAM was? And
I'm
what it
sure
was?
that he knew what was going on. But of course, because of his position, it was very difficult for him to be associated or identified with any group. He was always following the straight path. In our case, in my case, some people ask me, "Are you a member of RAM?"
Yep. Were you?
I said no, but I'm a member of another RAM. What is that?
What?
Ramos boys kami.
But in '86.
Yeah. I was then in Metrocom, so
Oh, you were back in the
I was in Metrocom
in the
at that time.
how do you call this? National Capital Region.
Yes,
Okay.
I was recalled.
So in '86, I mean, FBR, along with Enrile and RAM, broke away.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think made him change his mind?
Maybe because of the growing resentment.
Mm.
And he probably had his own personal assessment of the resentment. But it took him a long time. During that time, you don't know whom to follow.
Yeah.
Especially in my case, I was then the chief of staff of Metrocom. My commander disappeared. And my superior, my next in line went to another area. And then the units under the command were no longer there.
Wow.
Of course,
so
they were
nag-disintegrate.
identified with the other groups.
Was it a
So
surprise?
I had to go to, I was in Camp Crame, so I had to remain in Camp Crame.
Did it come as a surprise to you that FBR would break away?
No,
Hindi.
because we always look at him as the man riding the white horse.
Okay.
Those of us with the Ram, not the Ram,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the Ramos.
The Ramos boys.
Yeah.
The Ramos group. Okay. Okay. It's not the first time that I've heard the white horse analogy, actually. In these interviews. Well, so how crucial do you think was his? You eventually joined him, di ba? You defected.
Oh yes, right from the very start. As a matter of fact, I have some vignettes of the
Well, go ahead.
that I can fully remember. If you ask me, there was never a salubungan. The one that they are doing now.
No.
I remember the younger brother of Ninoy Aquino,
Butch.
Boots. Boots and his group entered Camp Crame about 10 o'clock in the evening to pay a call to President Ramos. And after that, General Ramos went outside the gate of Camp Crame and then climbed to the top of a van, then started to announce his defection. That's all that I remember. There were times when I would go and ask his advice whenever General Lim, and the other regional commanders in Metro Manila
Yeah.
would ask permission to go to Malacanang to attend a meeting, I would tell him. So I went to see him to report to him that I cannot find General Olivas, who was then the commander of Metro.
Yes.
He disappeared. But Monday morning, when I saw the Aide camp, I said, "Where is the general?" And he told me, so I went to visit him in Heart Center. Then I told him, "Sir, it's about time that you come out. If you are thinking of dispersing the crowd in front of Camp Grame, you must be kidding. The crowd is now extending from Cubao all the way up to
Ortiga.
not only Ortigas, up to, wala pa yung overpass dyan nung araw.
Shock.
Shaw Boulevard.
Yeah.
And then all the way to Camp Aguinaldo and Horseshoe. So there were so many people. So General Olivas came out that evening and joined General Ramos. And he brought with him the 4 police generals,
The districts. Ano?
yeah, and some personalities.
So you were crucial.
I was in the
played,
middle, yeah.
You played some.
But of course, like any other civil relations man, we always stay behind.
Yep. Yeah. But you were there because I suppose FVR
Yeah, FVR.
prodded you to bring.
And then
in-
he was saying that when I reported to him, he said to the group, we are not relying on the commanders. We're relying on the deputies. And at that time, I was serving as deputy of Metro.
Was there a time na you were worried that you FBR, the revolt would not make it, would not be successful?
About that?
EDSA would...
No,
Yeah. Talaga, you were
because,
confident?
the armed forces is, although they are, majority of them do not really get involved or not very vocal about it. But majority of them knows what's going on. And they have their own personal evaluation of what was going on. The best thing to do is not to get involved directly, but to support silently. That's that was happened.
And I guess follow their commanders. Tama
But
ba
the
yun?
commanders were not there anymore.
Ayun. So how crucial was FBR's role? I mean, given you mentioned that his stature and his reputation in the organization was very healthy, and he was looked up to by many, both in the officer corps and in the enlisted personnel as
Yeah.
as a leader. If he didn't bring in his support, you think it would have fizzled out?
Without General Ramos then and the Philippine Constabulary Integrated National Police, they would have failed. The coup would have failed, even if Senator Enrila was there. Because allegedly at that time, the Philippine Air Force, the Philippine Army, and the Philippine Navy were controlled by General Bear.
Yeah.
At that time,
Yeah.
leadership-wise. The leaders of the Navy then was I forgot the last name, but they were believed to be friends of Fabian Ver, General Ver. So, with General Ramos in the group, we had the Philippine Constabulary and the Philippine National Police, or
The INP.
Integrated National Police, to back him up. The other members of the armed forces who were very silent would support General Ramos.
So I guess it was also, his training and background in
Yeah.
intelligence,
Yeah.
psyops.
And then he did not break away from what he was saying all the time. Follow the chain of command. Follow what is right. Follow your conscience. Those were the battle cries then.
Yeah. But subliminally, he was suggesting that
Yeah.
diba, General Ver no longer had
Yeah.
the moral ascendancy or authority to exercise command. No?
As a matter of fact, during that time, if you recall, General Ramos was relieved as the chief of the Philippine Constabulary Integrated National Police.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Let me get back, nabanggit mo yung CRS. I guess looking at FBR's background as an intelligence and psyops, and he relied on it, used it pretty effectively. Ano? So that was something that may blessings niya yun, ano? For you guys to, for you and at that time, General Florendo, diba? To organize that particular unit.
Well, General Ramos, he was the leader of 4 officers. There were 3 officers plus him who went to Fort Bragg. And I understand that they took up psychological operations or propaganda in parlance. Special Forces. When he came back, he organized the first Special Forces company. And it was a unit that was not really for combat, direct combat, but more on a unit that would undertake activities that would win the hearts and minds. Yun ang sinasabi, win the hearts and minds. And I believe that he believed in that. He believed in that dictum, that in fighting a war, it is best to win the war without shooting a round or a bullet, but to win it by getting the people to believe what you are fighting for. And I think that he believed, because I was lucky that I was sent also to Fort Bragg. After General Ramos, there was the late General Echeverria, and then following Echeverria was General Ermita, and then following Ermita, ako na pinapunta. So we believe in that, because if you win the war through violence, temporary lang yun eh. If you don't win the war by winning the hearts and minds of the people affected, then it's not going to work. And I believe that he believed in that, because when he was handling the problem in Mindanao, he never believed in, unless it is by force, circumstance. He always followed the left-hand effort. He was a believer of the dictum of President Magsaysay. President Magsaysay believed in the right hand as the punch and the left hand as the amor. So if you cannot get it by you use the left hand effort. And when you talk of the left hand effort, it is civil relations, home defense, civic action, and the rest. And that is more. And that is not only helping our people, it is also helping the country develop.
So it was
I don't see why.
More enduring.
Yeah, I don't see why they have to use the war material to defeat.
That was something he brought in with him, when he decided to run for the presidency.
Yeah.
How was it received? I mean, how did you take to it when? Did you ever think that he would run for president?
I always
Naive.
believe, as I said,
Uh-huh.
as him as the one who will ride the white horse,
Okay.
because he was the most logical personality to run for the presidency. Unang-una, Senator Enrile did not run. President Corey became president. If you talk of the triumvirate, the next one would be General Ramos. So we always believe in that. Besides, during that time, when he was Secretary of National Defense, knowing the experience of President Magsaysay, he was going to be the most logical aspirant to the presidency. And we are very glad that he pursued that and he became President of the Republic.
So he eventually won, became president. One of his key initiatives during his presidency was the peace effort. Three groups in particular: CPP, NPA, the MNLF, and RAM. How did?
I think he was very successful in that because he had the right people to approach these guys. CPP, NPA, I don't know whether you heard of Dr. I forgot the name, but he was Undersecretary of National Defense for Civilian Relations, Clemente. If you remember Dr. Clemente. He was a classmate or a friend of Sison, Joma Sison. And they were always in contact with each other. And Clemente would be telling the president. And Clemente was also a friend of Miswari because of the UP.
The UP connection.
Yeah, UP connection. So he was using the left-hand effort more than the other effort.
Or
reform the armed forces.
Reform the armed forces movement. No? So finally, at least you don't have to shoot each other anymore.
You don't.
You don't have to shoot at fellow soldiers anymore. Diba?
Yeah. No, but ngayon parang wala na sila.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still around, but they're not anymore very active. We were even thinking that they would be running for a election position, elected position, but they did not.
Yeah, one of them did. Gringo.
Yeah, Gringo. Well, Senator Lacson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Him
but
also.
he was a silent, because classmate yan eh, ano?
Yeah, 71. It was about this time that yung INP, or PC INP transition to PNP, Philippine National Police. Ano? Can you tell me? Can you give me some insight as to how that was received or how that was done?
Well, it was a demand of the time at the time, no? Because they look at the PCINP as being used by the political in power, politicians, etc. They wanted to create a really national police organization, devoid of politicians, devoid of politicking, and perhaps that was the requirement of most of those who were against the establishment. They wanted the police to be out of the control of the armed forces.
Yeah,
Because at that time,
to make it
the
civilian.
PCINP was a part of the armed forces. But they removed the aspect of national police. The system before it became a PCINP was very effective. When the police organization in a local government
Or district,
fails to do its job or gets involved in criminal activities, what normally the government did then was to put that particular police unit under PC control. Under PC control meaning because the PC then was a separate
organization.
entity. And it was very effective. I remember when I was a lieutenant, because of what was going on in Caloocan during the time of former Mayor Asisio, the father of, because of the activities of the so-called Big Four. Maybe you're not familiar with that. The president then put Caloocan under PC control, and it brought back the confidence of the people to the local government because of that. And the one who was sent there to handle the command or control of the police force then of Caloocan is now a hero. Now, the road in front of my office is now named after him.
Oh.
Si Colonel Bonnie Serrano.
Oh, yeah. Oo nga pala. Kailan ka nag-retire?
94, 95,
Ah, okay.
93.
But, and then you were appointed to IBC.
Yeah. I was appointed as IBC. But I was working, marami akong ginagawa. I became the advisor of the Committee on Defense and Security sa Senado.
At the
Yung kay Orly Mercado.
Yes, already.
Then at the same time, I was working as the security manager of Bank of PI. And then they put me, I could do that
appointed you.
because I was only a member of the board.
Ah, okay.
I was a member of the board, but then when Buddy Gomez was not doing well, General Ramos borrowed me from PhilInvest and made me the president of IBC Channel 13.
Oh, pero why stay in government? Diba? You were headed towards a fairly profitable and successful career in the private sector already.
I've been in the service for a long time, more than 34 years. And I wanted to find out how it is to live under a corporate system. So I joined the Bank of PI. they requested me to be there. And then at the same time, Orly Mercado believed that I should be able to help him. Got me as his advisor. He was then the chairman of the Defense Committee.
Yes, yes, I remember.
And then when there were things better, they always say it is always greener in the other side of the fence. So I went to join Philinvest. At that time, Philinvest was beginning to grow.
Yeah. FVR appointed a lot of former military officers into different government positions. So my question
Even
is,
until now.
yeah, to now, yun nga, but so my question is, how do you react to the observation that FVR militarized the civil service?
Hindi naman. Hindi naman because there were only places where he put some military men. But in his cabinet, there was no former military men except the Department of Public Highways, si Secretary Bilar. In other places, there were military men, but they were only subalterns. Parang ano lang. Si General Aguirre was with the DILG as an undersecretary of Alunan. Secretary or General Isleta was with Channel 4, but only as a production outfit manager. Parang national, ano? Yung
He was with PIA actually.
PIA. Wala nang National Power, National Production Center, wala na.
National Media Production Center. I'm not sure if it's still there. Did FVR have enough time to accomplish what he set out to do?
No.
He had 6 years.
No. He should have. I don't know. Maybe the Constitution will not allow it, but he should have been given more time to be able to accomplish or to bring to fruition what he started in Mindanao, the peace with the MNLF. And maybe, if you recall, it was during his time that Republic Act 1700 was repealed. 1700 ba yung
The
communist?
Yeah.
To be a member.
Yeah, decriminalizing
Yeah.
the membership in the CPP.
Yeah. So, I'm sure that he would have been able to bring all of this to the final beneficial conclusion.
Well, there was at least 2 campaigns, Pirma, if you remember, and the People's Initiative, both of which were aimed at.
Wala ding ano yan.
Okay. Sinuportahan mo
Sayang.
ba yun? Sinuportahan mo ba yun?
Oh yes,
Talaga?
but we did not sign. Silently we supported.
Okay. What's it like these days when you meet with FPR?
What is like?
What's it like? I mean, anong pinagkakakwentuhan ninyo? What do you talk
Our-
about these days?
you
You still
know,
meet him, I guess.
Yeah. Whenever I always bring with me the Prop Blast card.
Which one?
Prop Blast card,
Okay.
which he signed in 1964, given to me. I always bring that every time we had a activity. And that is like a pass for me to join any of the activity called by him.
Oh.
And every time we meet, we always talk about the good old days, like when we were jumping. You know that where Mega Mall is now located, that used to be our jump area.
Oh, wow. That was an empty
Yeah.
field. No?
There were no buildings there
Yeah.
except yung, ano ba yung school dyan? Teresiana. That was the only one. And we used to jump in that area because yung Ortigas, left and right, open yan.
Yeah.
Pastulan ng kalabaw, ng baka.
Yeah.
So we used to jump. And we like telling stories every time we meet. Just like the last time we had a chance to get together again is during the birthday of General Rason, wherein he invited us to his house in Batangas. And you know, the president, he normally, after playing golf with us, we play golf every Saturday kasi I don't know whether he will play tomorrow, but every Saturday, he would stay only up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
But during the birthday of Sonny Rason, he stayed up to 5:30 in the afternoon.
Wow.
In Batangas. So we related stories how he jumped and then jumped in to the sea and then removed the parachute, then put his snorkel and then dive. He's a diver also.
Yeah, yeah. He was very, he was very physically active and,
Especially during that time when he was maybe from the time he became a lieutenant colonel. I used to go with him when we were in Vietnam. He would ask me to go with him, accompany him when he visited his classmate in West Point. I forgot the name, but he was a colonel also. And they were stationed in Vietnam, in Nui Baden. Nui Baden is that Black Lady Mountain in the middle of Vietnam, similar to Mount Arayat. It's plain and then there's Mount Arayat. And his physical ability then, he would swim 50 laps with his classmate. 50 laps is 25. How many? 50 times. That's almost 1,000 meters.
almost a kilometer.
That's how.
Yeah. You have to be physically fit to do that.
And when I was with he was the chief PC then, and I was with the Civil Relations Service, I used to see him go to Camp Aguinaldo to swim. And swimming to him is not just floating. He was swimming really, exercise.
Doing laps.
Yeah. And so his physical prowess, until now, he's still. But last time we had a chance to talk, I joked him.
Okay.
I said, "Sir, why don't you do what's the name of that Malaysian president now? Mahathir. Why don't you do a Mahathir? Mahathir is 92 years old. You're only 90. Then he said, Mahathir is different. Mahathir became president at the age of 90 again. Sabi ko, at the age of 92, sabi ko, you're only 90 years old, you can run. But
What did
of course,
he say to
physically, but it's amazing to know that he was very athletic during his heyday, in spite of the fact that he had only one kidney.
Yeah, I heard about that.
His kidney was removed when I think he was second class or first class in West Point.
What do you share most with people about your stint with your tour of duty with FVR? As a military officer, as his aide for a while, someone who trained under him.
before he used to smoke pipe tobacco, di ba?
Okay.
Then later on, it became cigar.
Yeah.
Then later on, it became cigar without any light.
Yeah.
Now no more. According to him, it has affected his health.
Okay.
He was really a stickler of what he professed, his advocacy. I remember when we were in Vietnam, every time we hold the morning formation, in the morning, especially during the time when we did not have yet bunkers, bago lang kami, we would form, sing the national anthem in full combat uniform.
Wow.
Then there was this classmate of his who came out in athletic uniform. You know that he called him down, not in front of everyone, but silently. Dalawa lang sila. I knew about it because the guy told me na ball out ako ni Eddie. That was something that we used to say, na ball out ako ni Eddie. Pagka pinagalitan ka, yun ang sinasabi nila, na ball out ako ni Eddie.
Ano yun? Badge ba yun? Badge of honor?
Batch ng PMA, class 51.
Ah, okay.
And he is class 50 sa West Point.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was
Adopted.
by class 51.
So
So
what I meant
basically,
was,
classmate niya yun.
No, but what I meant was, it's a badge of honor getting balled out by...
It was more of a... Hindi naman yung hindi katulad nung si General Tobias when he bowled out, he really bowled out. General Ramos. General Ramos, he says, if you meet a senior officer, you salute. So, there were times, and because of that, just to make sure that we are saluting the right guy, there were times when we were saluting soldiers, lieutenant kami. Because of that, we wanted to make sure that we follow the rule.
Better err on the side of caution.
On the side of right. There was, because the enlisted men of the Special Forces, they also look up to him as a model.
Yeah.
When their shoes are shined. And we used to parade in Fort Magsaysay. What I mean is, you are looked upon by the other soldiers because of your looks, your uniform, your boots, the way you carry your hat, the way you salute. So they were a breed, special forces. Tapos we were in an area which was considered to be restrictive. Pagpasok mo pa lang, makita mo doon malaking karatula doon. You're entering a restricted area. So if you are not, hindi mo alam kung ano yung restricted area, you turn around.
Ito yung home of the Special Forces.
Oh, home of the Special Forces.
Looking back at his legacy, what do you think is his greatest legacy as president, as a soldier?
Nadinig mo na ba yung aking itinayo na golf club?
No.
It's our golf club is G-Men Golf Club.
G-Men.
We follow the legacy of President Fidel Ramos, which is caring, sharing, and daring.
Oh, okay.
Because he cared for his people. And then he wanted to share the things that he learned, perhaps from West Point, from other places, to us, his subordinates. And then he dared, even if there were talks before that he could not make it as president. He dared. He took the chance. He took the opportunity. Makita mo during his inauguration, daming military nagpunta doon.
Yeah.
They were not in uniform, but they were in civilian clothes. Dami. Even retirees.
I mean, they wanted to see one of their own.
Yeah,
Become
that is the first.
He still carries a lot of clout and influence. Is
That's
that right?
true. Especially in the military. You should see him when we're in Aguinaldo. A lot of people, a lot of military men. Goes to him, sir, pa-picture naman. And he always obliges. Because they probably heard about his exploits, probably heard about his leadership. I have seen many general officers, but they fail to compare with General Ramos. General Ramos will not take advantage of his position by putting down somebody. Kaya maraming natutuwa pagka binabati siya. And until now, he's still recognized. He calls people by their first name.
Yeah, no. He has a penchant for that. No? He remembers people. So to this day, you think he's still, very, very influential in
I
national
believe so.
affairs?
I believe so. I believe so. Even the president, when he calls him my boss, that means to say that he respects FBR. And then when FBR sends something to him as a recommendee, he's appointed.
I'm good. Thank you very much for your time, sir.